Yo. Welcome to another edition of Two Ball Guys on the Right. I am Kevin B., and Will is at home from the home studio tonight. And after the elections, we've both been pretty tuckered. Just a little bit tuckered out. Just a little bit.
I had people tell me earlier, it felt like it was a bad hangover.
Yeah, and it continues. It's like a long, week-long binge that we went on, and it never ends. So we got a lot of things to discuss on the podcast, and I got to thinking this afternoon, and I was going to put this on Facebook if I wasn't locked out of my Facebook account. And we'll talk about Candace Owens is suing Facebook. I got locked out of my Facebook account for saying it looks like I posted a picture of Washington, D.C., and it said, looks like the Dems will get the House again. Americans are stupid.
And you got banned for that?
And look, we got pictures on Facebook with people saying they want to kill police, pigs in the blanket. I mean, because I said Americans are stupid?
Wow.
Man. So we're going to get into the Facebook thing. But I was going to post this on Facebook, and I got to thinking about Joe Biden if he becomes president. And look, I have not given up hope. I'm not ready to give up. But if Joe Biden is president for the next 4 years, I don't want, and you voted for Joe Biden, I do not want to hear one complaint from you.
No.
About the coronavirus is not gone, because guess what? Joe's not in charge, just like Trump wasn't in charge of the virus.
It ain't going
Joe's
nowhere.
not going to be. It ain't going to be anyway. I don't want to hear you complain one moment about your taxes have gone up. I don't want to hear one moment about you bitching about your insurance is going up. I don't want to hear you complaining that you're bringing home less money. I don't want to hear you complaining that you've been penalized because of the climate justice plan that they're going to set forth. I don't want to hear you complaining that you lose your damn job because all of a sudden 15 million illegals become legal and your boss decides that he can pay them less than he can pay you. I don't want to hear it. I want you to own it. I want you to own every member. In fact, I don't want you to complain if your boss just decides he's going to shut down your employment because he doesn't want to pay $15 minimum wage. I don't want to hear you complain when you lose your job when it goes back to China or goes back to Mexico. I don't want to hear you complain when the interest rates double for your credit cards. I don't want to hear you complain that your 401k and your stock goes in the tank like they did under Obama. I do not want to hear you complain. I want you to own that you voted for Joe Biden, and this is exactly what you deserve.
Yep.
I will fight to the death to do the right thing with this election because, sadly, I think they are stealing it from us.
Well, and I don't want to hear any complaints when Kamala Harris becomes president, when they find some way to get rid of Joe, whether it be they actually use what the Republicans found about Hunter and his collusion with China and Joe getting that money, or if they just get rid of him because he's old and senile and doesn't even know his own granddaughter's name. He was saying that his son, Beau, who is passed on, was a senator in Delaware, and that his granddaughter, Natalie, was there when it was actually Hunter's daughter, Finnegan. It's like he didn't even know the difference between his grandchildren. And we expect this man to know the difference between world leaders and how to run the country? Please.
It's sad. You know, we've had poll watchers thrown out for doing their job simply because they thought maybe they could be Republicans. We've had paper being put in the windows so poll watchers couldn't see what was going on. Do you actually think we're this damn stupid? When my Facebook wasn't locked down because I'm in Facebook jail for calling Americans stupid, I said, do you want me to believe that a guy that couldn't get 100 people at a rally all of a sudden gets hundreds of thousands of people to mail in a ballot? And
not only that,
said, I've been steadfast with the whole time. about mail-in ballots. We're
Yep.
setting ourselves up for fraud.
Not only that, but you're telling me that in 2020, Joe Biden managed to get more record number of votes. In fact, more votes than Obama got in 2008. You're telling me that Joe Biden got more votes than Obama in 2008. I cried foul. And what about all these precincts that only have a certain amount of registered voters, and yet we have 108%, 110% of voting happening in some of these states? That's not possible, people. That is not possible.
Look, and we're going to play something for Project Veritas coming up in a second that will blow your mind. But there have been cases that they found some ballots and every one of them cast a vote for Joe Biden. What's the chance out of 100 ballots that you randomly find that every one of them goes for Joe Biden? What's the chance of that? And by the way, I'm sorry for using my hands. I'm Cajun. We talk with our hands.
Well, something else too. I mean, in Michigan, I don't know if you saw, but this mystery time that all of a sudden it was going good, and all of a sudden all of these votes came out of nowhere only for Biden. Trump's votes didn't go up by one, and all of a sudden there's hundreds of votes. I mean, I think it was thousands of votes immediately cast for Biden. It's like, well, what the hell was that about?
The other thing that I find very, very, very interesting that they called Arizona way too early. And you know what? Fox News is part of the problem. They are now part of the swamp. So the president speaks today, and Joe Biden had two press conferences. He's got his transition team ready to rock. He's ready to roll. I can't help but think that the president has a master plan. President is one of the smartest men out there and always wants you to look here and bam. I'm hoping that is the case. So the president talked today, had a press conference and discussed, and look, the press conference, it was about 20 minutes long. And due to our time constraints, I cut it down considerably. So here's what the president had to say today about this whole election process.
We want an honest election, and we want an honest count, and we want honest people working back there because it's a very important job. So that's the way this country is going to win. That's the way the United States will win. And we think we will win the election very easily. We think there's going to be a lot of litigation because we have so much evidence, so much proof, and it's going to end up perhaps at the highest court in the land. We'll see. But we think there'll be a lot of litigation because we can't have an election stolen like this. And I tell you, I have been talking about this for many months with all of you, and I've said very strongly that mail-in ballots are going to end up being a disaster. Small elections were a disaster. Small, very easy to handle elections were disastrous. This is a large-scale version, and it's getting worse and worse every day. We're hearing stories that are horror stories, absolute horror stories. And we can't let that happen to the United States of America. It's not a question of who wins, Republican, Democrat, Joe, myself. We can't let that happen to our country. We can't be disgraced by having something like this happen. So it will be hopefully cleared up, maybe soon, I hope soon, but it'll probably go through a process, a legal process. And as you know, I've claimed certain states, and he's claiming states.
So Joe's claimed states, he's claimed states. I think Arizona is one of those states that they're going to find some problems with. And I'm not buying into the whole idea of the felt tip pens. We talked to a local county clerk, and he said, "Look, the machines that it'll read pretty much. It will read a pencil. It'll pretty much read anything."
And they actually encourage some of the Sharpies and felt tip pens in certain places. So I don't think there's a whole lot to that. But by this, if you're voting in person and you put your vote in, it'll kick it back immediately if there's a problem. So if you put your vote in and you were using a Sharpie and there was no issue, then you should be good.
So one of the states that there's a problem with is Nevada. And before I get to Nevada, as I was watching the president's press conference today, he had a 9,000 plus lead. As he came on, that lead went down to 3,400, and that's where it
Right.
stands right now.
Actually, I think
And
it's even
so-
lower than 3,400
Is it?
now.
Is it?
It's Georgia in particular is whittling away to next to nothing. I mean,
Have you
I'm
ever been to
gonna-
Georgia? Have you ever been to Georgia?
No,
Let
you're
me
right.
just say that-
3,400 is where it's at.
Yeah, there's tons of good old boys in Georgia. I just can't see Georgia going Democrat. And there are a lot of these states that have never gone Democrat, and all of a sudden they're going to Democrat.
What? Yeah.
I
So
just-
I mean, don't get me wrong. We expect Atlanta. We expect certain counties to
Yeah,
go
the
blue.
DeKalb County.
But
Yeah, most
overall, Atlanta is not going to sway the entire election.
So we know there's some discrepancies. Right now, the total was not looking good for the president. Rudy Giuliani had something to say about all of this. He was in Philly. Now, the president has a pretty good lead in Pennsylvania. But Rudy, I mean, that's where they started taping up the windows and all this. And he gives a pretty good definition of, having the chance to observe. And the Republicans were not allowed to do that. And so he goes into great details about all of this. And he wasn't happy, not happy at all.
When it didn't apply to candidate President Trump, well, we were supposed to be allowed by law to observe the counting of the ballots. Now, observe means, to any intelligent person, being able to look at it. The way it's interpreted by the Democrat crooked machine of Philadelphia is that the observers can be 20 or 30 feet away, never able to see the ballot itself, never able to see if it was properly postmarked, properly addressed, properly signed on the outside. All the things that often lead to disqualification of ballots or make it very easy to dump 50,000 totally fraudulent ballots because they're not observed. This went on for 20 hours. While all of you thought there was some kind of legitimate count going on here in Philadelphia, it was totally illegitimate. So we went back to court, and we went before a Democrat judge. No need to tell you what the result in Philadelphia is if you're before a Democrat judge. Obviously a political hack who doesn't know the meaning of the word observe. Observe means to be able to look. Not a single Republican has been able to look at any one of these mail ballots. They could be from Mars, as far as we're concerned, or they could be from the Democratic National Committee.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. They came from the Democratic National Committee.
Sure.
You're 100% correct. So some of these states are saying they are most likely going to be doing a recount. Georgia has said they're probably heading to a recount where they are going to have to recount every ballot. Every ballot. How is it that Texas, they had 11 million voters this year? How is it they get the votes done? And smaller states don't even come close. Don't even come close.
What about
So it
California, for that matter? I mean, granted,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not.
Well,
I'm
they
not
called that election
assuming-
fairly quick.
Well, sure, but what about did they just stop counting after that? Are they done yet?
Yeah.
I'd be curious to
No.
find out.
So Georgia is heading to it looks like it's going to be a recount, and the Peach State's voting system is heading, they're going to be recounting all these votes. Interesting thing about Nevada, we were watching that as their Secretary of State was on, and they're not going to stop accepting ballots until Saturday. And then the provisional ballots where somebody has to come and show their ID for that vote to be counted, they're going to set those to the 12th. So they will not be finished counting all these ballots until the 12th?
Relatively small state.
I'm just like, how?
And they're going to accept them. But let me ask you this. We're going to get into this with Project Veritas in a little bit, which is really, really scary. But we have people out there that specialize in counterfeiting money, and
Sure.
counterfeiting a banknote is a rough deal with all the watermark and everything they got to do. How difficult do you think it would be to counterfeit a postage stamp? I mean, one of the stamps that has the postmark on it, so it tells
now,
you
let me
what
ask you
date
another thing. Are these ballots watermarked in each state? I know it has the lines that go on the side, and I'm sure that that's for something. But you know what? I've been thinking about this. You know, we had the hanging Chad back with Bush and Gore. We promised the American people that we're going to get this election thing right. Because after a while, once you keep not getting it right, people are going to stop voting. People will stop voting.
If they don't trust the process, why would they do it?
Why are you going to keep voting?
Anyway, they're just going to rig it how they want anyway.
You know,
That's
send
the whole
people
premise of our country.
Right. We send people to foreign third world countries to be poll watchers, to make sure that their election is legal and honest and creditable, but we don't even do the same to our own election cycle.
Well, what's with the fighting? I don't understand why these county clerks, I understand they're Democrat controlled. I understand they want Biden to win. But why can they not? There's been theories out there, people saying, well, you know, to the Democrats, Trump is like Hitler. And if you could do anything, even cheat an election to keep Hitler out of office, would you do it? And that's basically what they think they're doing. They think that they're saving the country by cheating.
Now, let me ask this. You know, if we can't get this right, and, you know, Trump sues to have poll watchers there verifying each one of these mail-in ballots. The Democrats sue to not have it. And I'm like, why wouldn't you want an equal playing field? And you know what? If Joe Biden ends up winning this election, I will be first to say that it's going to give a lot of material for my morning show and for this podcast.
It is.
We're looking at just a trove of great information because you know he's going to screw it up. Half the time he doesn't even know where he's at. But why wouldn't they want it to be fair? Because they know exactly what they're doing. And I hate to say that. It hurts me to say that. They know exactly what they're doing.
Sure they do.
So the Michigan judge denied the Trump campaign ballot counting lawsuit. And so the president lost that. The Michigan Court of Appeals judge sent the Stevens ruled against the Trump campaign lawyers earlier today, finding that relief to the Trump team is seeking is ultimately unavailable through the Michigan Secretary of State's office. Trump campaign asked that Benson order local election officials to allow challengers with meaningful participation in overseeing the election. And I don't care where you go. There's always people from the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. So the Trump administration lost that. It looks like that will be going to a higher court and a federal court, and we'll see where it goes from there. Candace Owens, oh my girl. You know, she looks so sweet pregnant. You know, she puts off that look now that she is pregnant. And Candace Owens has decided she's going to sue Facebook because
good for her.
They have taken her stuff down one too many times. Now, YouTube will do the same thing. I'm kind of scared with some of the stuff that we say because YouTube will take us down. They have demonetized a lot of sites, and a lot of sites will not play videos because Facebook is looking for an excuse to demonetize any conservative talk podcast. It is what it is. But Candace Owens has filed a lawsuit. She wants to know more about who are these fact checkers. And you know what? I would too. Because if you can't use the word stupid, but you can use the word kill police officers, I don't get, where are we today?
Right.
The word stupid hurts your feelings, but kill police officers doesn't? Wow.
Unbelievable. What about those kids and those cops? You think it hurts their feelings?
I, when I got the notification, I was like, for the word stupid? Wow, because I see some ugly stuff on Facebook. I'm just saying. I've seen genitalia on Facebook.
Oh.
I've seen stuff on Facebook that does not belong on Facebook. But
Stuff
saying
that
the
was
word
paramount
stupid,
to advertising for pedophilia. Yeah, I've seen there's some nasty stuff on there. And then I've
uh,
seen it reported, and I've seen it come back and actually be approved by Facebook
oh
and said this
no.
does not go against our community standards.
And I'm like, what the hell's the matter with your community standards? So here's what Candace Owens had to say about her lawsuit against Facebook, because she wants to know who these fact checkers are. And are they liberal? Are they conservative? I don't even have to ask that question. Yeah, they're liberal. Of course they are. Here's what Candace had to say.
It is on. Candace Owens goes after Zuckerberg. And guess what, Zuck? Here I am promoting it on your own platform. That feels pretty cool. I'm going to do this on Instagram too. I'm going to fundraise for my lawsuit against your fact checkers on your platform, Zuck. I know you're watching. I know you watch my every move. Bye-bye.
Love that girl. Love
That's
that
awesome.
girl. I tell you what, that is simply awesome. Something we haven't talked about is we've seen an uptick in African Americans voting for Trump, and not
Sure.
only that, huge Hispanic votes. And the crazy thing is, the Republican Party, I said this a long time ago, a bunch of white older people is not going to cut it. We need to embrace minorities and young people into the Republican Party. And you know what? Nobody could do that but Donald J. Trump. So we will be indebted to him for a long, long, long time. So let's show the presidential numbers where we stand right now, if you would. So Biden 264, the president 214. I did the math earlier, and President Trump has to win Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Nevada, and he has to flip. He has to flip Arizona to be able to win. Because if he doesn't, he only comes up with 268, and that is not enough to flip. Alaska. Alaska's up there. That's how I got to 268. So without Arizona, the path is not there. Or he needs to flip Arizona, and Alaska's going to go red no matter what, if I remember right. So the path is there, but we got to win every one of these. If not, it's not going to work. Just not going to work. So, I'm off Facebook right now about the House because it looks like it's going. The good news is that some Democrats have said that they don't want Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer to be in control. So the House is at 208 to 191, but look at the seats that are still available. Look at the seats. So the majority, they need 218 to get to the majority. The Democrats do. The Republicans flipped 21 seats. They gained 21 seats. So that's pretty damn impressive that they gained 21 seats. Do they have the chance of being the majority? I don't think so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. 26 plus 190. Yeah, it'd be very close. It'd be very, very close. But the Democrats are way closer. They need 10. They need 10 seats, 10 more seats. So that's the way that works. It's kind of scary because, if Biden does get in there and they retain the House and we don't win the Senate, we're in for some real big changes. So we're still tied at 48 to 48 at this present time. And there are 4 seats that are still available. And so if we need 3 seats, We need 3 out of 4. And the Republicans seem very, very confident that we're going to retain those seats. We're going to retain 3 more seats, and we'll get the majority. I'm hoping and praying because 2 independents are now in there, and that takes away from the total to get us to 51. So I'm hoping and praying because if not, Democrats are going to do what the hell they want. They want to stack the court. They can do that. They want to change this. They're going to have carte blanche on everything that they want to do. Unbelievable. Project Veritas. Man, I tell you what, James O'Keefe is the guy that gets out there and finds these stories that nobody else is reporting. So he finds a story about the Michigan postal worker that says that, there's some hanky-panky going on with these ballots, and that his boss told him to do some things that not legitimate, not honest, not the way it's supposed to work. So is it corrupt? I would
Absolutely.
say so. So what the supervisor is asking them to do is illegally backdate the postage stamp. That way, these ballots get in there, post stamp, November 3rd instead of November 4th. Let's go to the tape with the postal worker.
Tell us where you work.
I work in the Traverse City Post Office, more specifically the Barlow branch.
Your boss told you and your colleagues something that shocked you this morning. What was it?
We were issued a directive this morning to collect any ballots we find in mailboxes, collection boxes, just outgoing mail in general, separate them at the end of the day so that they could hand stamp them with the previous day's date. Today is November 4th, for clarification.
Who is your boss, and what is his title?
Jonathan would be a direct supervisor, yes. As of right now, he is the opening supervisor for the Barlow branch post office. So and this is anecdotal, carrier down in another office said they watched the postmaster doing it. If it were just a typical day, it would be clerks doing it up at the distribution center.
So 8 p.m. election day, November 3rd. The Court of Appeals ruled ballots have to be received by that time. And what were you told?
To separate them today so they could mark them with yesterday's date.
Wow. Yeah, that's not illegal as hell, right? And so if it happens at one post office, how many post offices happen at? And what's scary as hell, look, the Postal Union they endorse Biden. So we give, the whole idea is just mind-blowing. So they have a union that endorses Biden, that puts skin in the game. So if, I hate to use a sports analogy, but I will. So if you had a son playing on a football team, would it be okay for you to referee one of his games?
No.
Oh, so that wouldn't be kosher. But allowing the union that endorsed Biden to basically be in charge of these votes is okay, somehow, some way. Wow.
Unbelievable.
I mean, the whole idea.
There's more and more stories like this coming out. I mean, and thank God for Project Veritas for being able to expose this.
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of scary. It really is. So I've never heard, I'm not a watcher of The View. Number one, I work for a living, so I'm not usually home when The View is on. But Sunny Hostin, never heard of her, didn't know who she was, but she is on The View. And she went on to say the president is homophobic, and if you voted for Trump, it's un-American. Let me tell you what's going on that's un-American. Election stealing. That's un-American.
Amen.
Election stealing is un-American. Let me tell you another thing. Mail-in ballots is un-American. Seriously, that is un-American. And people get all twisted. Well, what about absentee ballots? There's a different process for absentee ballots. See,
you request one, it's mailed to you, we can verify it, we can check it, we can track it. There's all kinds of checks and balances for absentee where there's none with mail-in.
We know that there were voter harvesting going on, especially at senior citizens, nursing homes, and going to the homes of senior citizens.
Some of these
And
foreign areas where we have a lot of foreign nationals, like Ian Omar's district.
yeah. So what they would do, they take the ballot out, and most of those ballots would already be filled out, and they would say, "Hey, you want a bucket of beer? Sign this." That's un-American. That's not who we are. And so she's very upset that 68 million Americans, I think it's more than that now, actually voted for President Trump. And she said, we're selfish bastards. Here's what she had to say on The View.
This president has shown us that he is a misogynist, that he is homophobic, that he is racist, and that he mismanaged a coronavirus pandemic to the tune of over 250,000 American deaths. Yet 50% of America saw all of that and looked the other way to their brothers and their sisters and said, I'm going to vote for him anyway. And that is really disheartening, because for me, that means that you are selfish, right? I'm not going to say that 50% of Americans are racist and sexist and homophobic, but I will say that that tells me that they will look the other way to that kind of behavior, to the plight of their fellow Americans, if personally they feel that they are doing okay and that they will do better under that type of presidency.
Oh,
and
look at
that,
Whoopi.
I think, is despicable. It is un-American.
She's ready to go. Look at Whoopi. Oh, my goodness. She's ready to go. Whoopi's ready to jump in there.
The View is probably the single most worst leftist TV show there is on TV.
But did you notice something, Will? Did you notice something? The playbook, the Democratic playbook.
Oh,
the
sure.
Same exact words that not only other Democrats have used, Joe Biden has used. Same exact words.
Misogynist, homophobic. I'm sorry. The last time I checked, Trump was very pro-gay. He was very pro-gay. He's actually got gay cabinet members. There's a lot of gay and lesbian supporters of Trump. Last time I checked, he was not a racist. That he's got, a great track record with black and Hispanics, and misogynist, maybe a little, as far as, but I don't think his wife agrees with that. I think in his youth, maybe, and some of the comments that you could be considered, but I think show me men out there who have ever been in a locker room who couldn't have been construed as misogynist at one point or another.
I couldn't say that. Do you know more Republican women were elected in this election cycle in the history than in the history of the United States of America?
But look what they did to Amy Coney Barrett, and of course she's a female. She's has children, and yet she's
a racist, of course.
She's a racist.
Are you
even
a
though
racist?
She's kids from Haiti.
Yeah,
they completely demonized her because she's a conservative woman.
Yeah,
I don't care. These people, they just all they see is the R for Republican, and immediately you're the enemy, and immediately you're all of these bad things, including, racist and homophobic.
Yep. So I read this story, and I had to read it twice because it says voters approve measures of overhauling the police in areas across the United States. So many elections, people decided that they were going to defund the police. We're going to send social workers out to deal with problems. And let's just see how all this works. And I'll say it again as we kind of close up. And we never said it in the beginning, but please, shows like this are going to start disappearing, and I want to build up a big audience. And you know what? If YouTube decides to do something like that, then we switch somewhere else. And but please go and subscribe to our channel if you would get that opportunity. Please do that. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification button. Every time we come on, you will know about it. But we'll see how this defunding of the police actually works. And I lost a picture of you, Will. I don't even know where you're at now. It's just me on here. I don't know what happened to you. The split screen is gone. I guess it wasn't big enough for both of us. It's one ball guy on the right now. I don't even know what happened to you. He's still working on it. So please subscribe to our channel. And I remind you that if you voted for Biden and Biden ends up winning, I will not act like an ass. I will go on and continue to work because that's what Republicans do. We will not burn. We will not loot. We will not do any of that stuff. I encourage you to keep on doing what you do. You know what? I'm a believer in God. And God tells me that he is in control. And for whatever reason, if Joe Biden's elected, I think it will be a learning experience for America. So God bless you. But if you voted for Biden, own it. Own it. When everything goes skyrocket, you lose your job, whatever, own that stuff, please. By the way, I'd like to give thanks to my co-host tonight that's been in here with me the entire studio. Where is she? The one and only Ukrainian Dea. Now she disappears when I need her. Yeah, you heard her barking, though. Anyway, she's been in here being a great dog the whole time we're on the podcast. God bless you guys. We'll be back coming up Monday. 2 ball guys on the right. Please don't forget to subscribe. Have a good night. Keep the faith. President Trump has the faith. You keep the faith and pray to the one up above. God bless you and have a wonderful night. We'll see you later.